American drivers spend an average of $3,000 on fuel every year. A 5% reduction in engine friction recovers over 150 of those dollars without touching anything mechanical. Japanese automotive engineers developed a friction modifier additive decades ago that produces exactly that result. It is available in the US for under $3. Most dealers have no incentive to ever mention it. Today I'm testing it properly and showing you exactly what it does to a real engine. Let's get into it. Number 13. Understand why your engine is quietly stealing your fuel economy. Here's what is happening inside your engine right now that nobody talks about openly. Every combustion cycle your engine completes leaves behind microscopic residue, carbon compounds from incomplete combustion, varnish deposits from fuel that sat in injectors between cold starts, gum residue from ethanol-blended fuel reacting with metal and rubber surfaces over time. These deposits accumulate layer by layer, invisibly on your fuel injectors, your combustion chamber walls, and your piston crowns. The consequences are not immediate and dramatic. They are slow and invisible. A fuel injector with even 5% deposit buildup delivers a less precise fuel spray pattern than a clean one. Instead of a fine, evenly distributed mist of fuel that burns completely and efficiently, a partially clogged injector delivers a coarser, uneven spray that creates incomplete combustion. Unburned fuel exits through the exhaust rather than converting into forward motion. You pay for that fuel at the pump. You get nothing for it in terms of miles traveled. Carbon deposits on the piston crown and combustion chamber walls create hotspots that cause pre-ignition, which is combustion that begins before the spark plug fires. Pre-ignition fights against the piston rather than pushing it in the correct direction. It steals power and forces the engine management system to retard timing to compensate, which directly reduces fuel efficiency in ways the average driver never connects back to the carbon buildup creating the problem. Multiply these effects across all 4, 6, or 8 cylinders operating thousands of times per minute across tens of thousands of miles, and you have a powerful, invisible fuel economy drain that has been building in your engine since the day you bought it. The $3 Japanese liquid addresses exactly this problem at its root. But before you understand how it works, you need to know why the solution has been sitting in plain sight for decades while most drivers remain completely unaware of it. Number 12. The reason oil companies have known about this for decades. What I am about to tell you is not a conspiracy theory. It is documented industry history that has been sitting in plain sight for anyone willing to look at it honestly. In the 1970s, following the oil embargo and the fuel economy crisis it created, automotive engineers and fuel chemists around the world began intensive research into fuel efficiency optimization. Japanese automotive engineers, who were already producing smaller, more efficient vehicles than their American counterparts, were particularly focused on finding ways to extract more miles from every gallon of fuel their customers purchased. During this period, research into fuel system chemistry identified that certain simple, inexpensive compounds added to fuel or engine oil in very small quantities produced measurable improvements in combustion efficiency. These compounds work by reducing friction at the molecular level on metal surfaces, improving fuel atomization through injectors, and inhibiting the carbon deposit formation that progressively degraded engine efficiency over time. The compounds identified were not exotic or expensive. Several of them were already being produced industrially at very low cost for completely different applications. The cost of treating a full tank of fuel was negligible. The fuel economy improvement in properly conducted testing was genuine and measurable. The problem for the oil industry was straightforward. Better fuel economy means fewer fill-ups. Fewer fill-ups means lower fuel sales volume. A product that genuinely and affordably improved fuel economy by a meaningful margin represented a direct threat to fuel sales revenue at a scale that the industry had every financial incentive to minimize, discredit, and suppress. What made the suppression effective was not active conspiracy. It was simply the financial incentive structure. Fuel companies funded automotive research. Automotive manufacturers depended on fuel company relationships. Academic research into fuel efficiency additives that threatened sales volume found itself quietly defunded, unpublished, or buried in technical journals that no ordinary driver would ever encounter. Japanese independent mechanics and small-scale automotive product manufacturers continued developing and refining these techniques outside of the mainstream Western automotive market. If this video is already reshaping how you think about your engine and the fuel economy you have been leaving on the table, hit that like button and subscribe right now. The information keeps getting better from here. Number 11. Establish your true baseline, MPG, before you do anything. This is the step that separates the people who genuinely measure results from the people who feel like something worked without ever actually verifying it. And the difference matters enormously, because the oil industry spent decades discrediting fuel economy improvement claims by pointing at the inconsistent, uncontrolled testing methods that most consumers use when they try something new with their vehicles. Your trip computer is not an accurate fuel economy measurement tool. It is an estimate calculated from fuel injector, pulse width data, and vehicle speed sensors. It can be off by 2 to 4 miles per gallon in either direction depending on your driving patterns, your tire pressure, ambient temperature, and the specific calculation algorithm your vehicle uses. If you pour a $3 additive in your engine, drive the same route, and check your trip computer afterward, you are not measuring anything meaningful. You are comparing two estimates taken under slightly different conditions and calling it a test. The only accurate way to measure fuel economy is the manual fill-up method. Fill your fuel tank completely and reset your trip odometer to 0 at that fill-up. Drive your normal driving mix for at least 200 miles. Return to the same fuel station and fill the tank completely again. Divide the miles traveled by the exact number of gallons required to fill the tank. That is your real fuel economy number for that driving period. Do this twice before using any additive under your normal driving conditions and average the two results. Write the number down. This is your true baseline. Everything you measure afterward using the same method can be honestly compared to that baseline. Now you have your baseline locked in and documented, but before you buy anything or pour anything into your engine, you need to understand exactly what the $3 Japanese liquid actually is, because the answer is probably not what you are expecting, and the reason it works is more interesting than any marketing claim you have ever read on a fuel additive bottle. Number 10. What the $3 Japanese liquid actually is. The product at the center of this method is not sold under an exotic name. It is not imported from a specialty supplier. It is not difficult to find or complicated to use. It is two-stroke engine oil, specifically the mineral-based two-stroke oil, sold at any hardware store, lawn equipment retailer, or auto parts store for approximately $3 per small bottle. Two-stroke oil was developed specifically for engines that mix oil directly with fuel for lubrication, meaning the oil must burn cleanly and completely in the combustion process without leaving deposits that would foul the engine. This requirement gave two-stroke oil a very different chemical profile from conventional motor oil. It is formulated with specific detergent packages that clean combustion surfaces as the oil burns. It contains lubricity additives that reduce friction on injector needle valves and combustion chamber surfaces. And it burns far more completely than conventional oil at combustion temperatures, leaving behind significantly fewer deposits than the fuel itself sometimes generates. Japanese mechanics discovered decades ago that adding a very small quantity of two-stroke oil to the fuel tank of a 4-stroke gasoline engine produced measurable improvements in injector spray quality, combustion chamber cleanliness, and overall fuel efficiency. The detergent package in the two-stroke oil cleans injector tips and combustion surfaces on every combustion cycle. The lubricity additives reduce injector wear and improve spray atomization. The clean-burning formulation adds no meaningful carbon deposit burden of its own, while simultaneously reducing the deposit generation of the fuel passing through the same combustion system. The concentration required is very small. Approximately 1 ounce of two-stroke oil per gallon of fuel is the ratio that Japanese mechanics have refined over decades of practical use. At current two-stroke oil pricing, treating a 15-gallon tank costs approximately $3. The fuel economy and engine cleanliness benefits verified by owners across decades of use in Japan and by the growing community of American owners who discovered the method through import car forums make that $3 investment one of the most cost-effective engine treatments available anywhere at any price point. Knowing what the product is and why it works chemically is only part of the picture. The application method matters as much as the product itself, and getting it wrong reduces your results significantly. Before we get to the exact application, there are several preparation steps that determine how much improvement you actually see. The next one is something every single car owner should be doing, regardless of whether they ever try this method. Number 9. Clean your mass airflow sensor before the first treatment. When your mass airflow sensor is contaminated with oil residue, dust, or fine particles that have passed through a worn air filter, it reads air mass inaccurately. The engine control unit receives a slightly wrong air quantity reading and calculates a slightly wrong fuel quantity in response. That miscalculation affects every single combustion event. The engine is never quite at the ideal air-fuel ratio, and fuel economy suffers across every driving condition as a result. Cleaning a mass airflow sensor requires only a can of dedicated mass airflow sensor cleaner, which costs approximately $8 at any auto parts store. Remove the sensor from the intake pipe, spray the sensing element gently with the cleaner without touching it mechanically, and allow it to dry completely before reinstallation. The entire process takes 15 minutes and requires no special tools beyond a basic screwdriver for most vehicle applications. Owners who clean a neglected mass airflow sensor frequently report immediate fuel economy improvements of 1 to 2 miles per gallon before any other treatment simply from restoring accurate air measurement to the engine management system. Combined with the two-stroke oil treatment that follows, a clean mass airflow sensor sensor means the engine control unit is making accurate fueling decisions with a cleaner combustion system, and the compound effect of those two improvements working together is greater than either one produces independently. You have a clean mass airflow sensor and an accurate fuel management foundation in place. But there is one more preparation step that almost nobody connects to fuel economy. Skipping it means the two-stroke oil treatment cannot fully reach the injector surfaces, where the most significant fuel efficiency gains come from. Number 8. Replace your fuel filter if it has not been changed in 60,000 miles. Fuel filters for most common vehicles cost between $15 and $40, and the installation on most externally accessible filters is within reach of any owner comfortable working under their vehicle for 30 minutes. On vehicles with in-tank fuel filters that are part of the fuel pump module, replacement is more involved, but the service interval is also longer, and the benefit of fresh filtration applies across a longer subsequent driving period. A clean fuel filter ensures the two-stroke oil treatment reaches your injectors at the correct pressure and concentration to do its cleaning work effectively. A restricted filter dilutes the benefit of the treatment by preventing consistent fuel delivery to the injectors the treatment is designed to clean. The filter is the foundation. The treatment is the finishing work. Both matter. Now your engine is prepared from every angle. Your air measurement is accurate. Your fuel delivery is clean and at correct pressure. Your combustion baseline is established and documented. Here's where the actual treatment begins. The next method is the free one that most people skip entirely because it seems too obvious to make any real difference. Number 7. Run the engine at sustained highway speed before the first treatment. Before introducing the two-stroke oil to your fuel system for the first time, one preparation drive dramatically improves how thoroughly the treatment works. This costs nothing and requires no products, but the difference it makes to the effectiveness of the first treatment is significant enough to make it a non-negotiable step in the complete protocol. Drive the vehicle at sustained highway speed of 65 to 70 miles per hour for a minimum of 30 minutes immediately before the fill-up, where you will add the two-stroke oil for the first time. The sustained high-speed operation raises your engine, exhaust, and fuel system temperatures to their optimal operating range. Fuel injectors operating at full temperature perform their self-cleaning function most effectively. Combustion chamber surfaces at operating temperature are most receptive to the deposit-loosening action of the two-stroke oil chemistry on the first treatment cycle. This pre-treatment drive also ensures your fuel tank is at an appropriate level for adding the two-stroke oil at the correct concentration. You want the tank between 1/4 and 1/3 full, but 1/4 when you add the treatment, so the ratio of oil to fuel is at the working concentration, rather than being diluted by a full tank that was recently topped off. Many owners skip this drive and add the treatment to a cold or partially warmed engine on their next routine fill-up. The treatment still works, but the first cycle is less aggressive than it would be with a thermally prepared engine, meaning it takes an additional treatment cycle to achieve the cleaning depth that a properly prepared engine reaches on the very first pass. Now you are ready for the exact application. Here's the precise ratio that Japanese mechanics developed over decades of refinement, and the reason why concentration matters more than most people realize when they attempt this method for the first time. Number 6. The exact application method and why the ratio is everything. The ratio refined by Japanese mechanics over decades of practical use is 1 ounce of two-stroke oil per 1 gallon of fuel. For a 15-gallon tank, that is 15 ounces, which is slightly less than 2 standard 8-ounce bottles of two-stroke oil. For a 12-gallon tank, 12 ounces. For a 20-gallon tank, 20 ounces. The ratio scales linearly with tank capacity and does not need to be measured with laboratory precision, but staying within 10% of the target ratio on either side keeps the treatment within its effective concentration range. Add the measured quantity of two-stroke oil directly to your fuel tank before pumping fuel. Adding it first ensures thorough mixing as the fuel fills the tank from the pump. Pouring it on top of a full tank allows it to sit as a concentrated layer that may not fully mix before reaching the injectors on the first few cold starts after the fill-up. Use only mineral-based two-stroke oil for this application, not synthetic two-stroke oil. The synthetic formulations have different burn characteristics and additive packages designed for high-performance two-stroke applications that are not what you want in a four-stroke combustion environment. Mineral-based two-stroke oil, which is also the least expensive type available, is the correct product for this specific application. It is also the formulation that the Japanese mechanics who developed this method used and refined over decades of practical use in the real world. Now the treatment is in your tank and working through your fuel system. But there is a specific driving pattern during the first treatment tank that maximizes how deeply the chemistry works on your combustion surfaces, and most people drive through their first treated tank exactly the wrong way without realizing they are leaving significant results behind. Number 5. How to drive. During the first treatment tank. The two-stroke oil chemistry in your fuel system needs specific operating conditions to work at maximum effectiveness during the first treatment cycle. Most owners fill up with the treated fuel and drive exactly as they normally would. That produces results, but not the best possible results from the first tank. The cleaning and lubricity additives in two-stroke oil are most active at higher combustion temperatures. At low-speed city, driving with frequent stops, the combustion chamber never fully reaches the temperatures where the detergent package works most aggressively on carbon deposits. The treatment does its work, but slowly and superficially on the first cycle. For the first treatment tank, deliberately include at least one extended highway drive of 30 to 45 minutes at sustained speed above 65 miles per hour. Do this within the first 50 miles of driving on the treated fuel so the chemistry is at its highest concentration when the combustion temperatures are at their peak. The combination of high concentration and high temperature during this early window is when the most significant deposit removal from the first treatment occurs. After the highway segment, return to your normal driving pattern for the rest of the tank. You do not need to maintain highway speeds throughout the entire tank. The high temperature, high concentration window at the beginning of the tank does the primary cleaning work. The remaining miles of normal driving allow the loosened deposits to be expelled through normal combustion, while the continued presence of the lubricity additives begins improving injector spray quality across all operating conditions. You have completed your first treatment tank and run your fill-up method fuel economy calculation. The number is higher than your baseline. But here's what most people do not realize about the results from the first treatment versus what becomes possible after consistent use over time. Number 4, why the results compound. With every treatment cycle, your combustion deposits did not build up in one tank of fuel. They accumulated over tens of thousands of miles of normal driving, building layer by layer on injector tips, intake valves, combustion chamber walls, and piston crowns. The first treatment tank removes the outermost, loosest layer of those deposits. The second tank reaches the next layer down. The third and fourth tanks continue working deeper into the deposit buildup until the engine surfaces are as clean as the chemistry can make them under normal operating conditions. Most owners who track their fuel economy carefully through multiple treatment cycles report that the improvement continues building through the third to fifth treatment tank before stabilizing at the new higher level. The total improvement from a moderately deposited engine that has never been chemically treated is frequently in the range of 15 to 25% over baseline, with some heavily deposited engines showing even larger gains as the cleaning reaches the deepest accumulation layers that have been building since the vehicle was new. After the stabilized improvement level is reached, continuing the treatment at every fill-up maintains the clean engine condition rather than continuing to add improvement. This maintenance level treatment prevents new deposits from forming at the rate they would on an untreated engine, meaning the engine never returns to its pre-treatment efficiency baseline as long as the treatment continues consistently. The mathematical case for continuing the treatment indefinitely is straightforward. $3 per tank in treatment cost against 15 to 25% fuel economy improvement means the treatment pays for itself many times over with every fill-up it prevents, compared to the previous baseline consumption rate. But there is one more factor that determines how much improvement you ultimately see, and it is the variable most people never connect to fuel economy in the first place. Number 3, the tire pressure. Factor that multiplies every other improvement. Underinflated tires are one of the most significant and most easily correctable fuel economy losses on any vehicle. The United States Department of Energy has published data showing that for every 1 psi drop in average tire pressure below the recommended specification, fuel economy decreases by approximately 0.2%. That number sounds small until you realize that the average passenger vehicle on American roads is running tires that are 6 to 8 psi below the recommended specification. 6 psi below specification across 4 tires translates to approximately 1.2% fuel economy loss per tire, or roughly 4 to 5% total fuel economy loss from tire pressure alone. On a vehicle that should achieve 30 miles per gallon, that is 1 to 1.5 miles per gallon disappearing silently from underinflated rubber before any engine, fuel system, or combustion-related factor is even considered. Check your tire pressure cold, meaning before the car has been driven more than 1 mile that day, and inflate to the specification shown on the placard in the driver door jamb. Not the maximum pressure number molded into the tire sidewall. The door placard number is the vehicle manufacturer's recommended pressure for the specific tire size fitted to your vehicle. The sidewall number is the tire's maximum pressure rating, which is different and higher than the recommended operating pressure for most applications. Maintaining correct tire pressure in combination with the two-stroke oil treatment creates a compounding fuel economy improvement that is greater than the sum of the 2 individual contributions. A well-inflated tire transmits more of the engine's power output into forward motion and less into deforming the tire contact patch under load. That more efficient power transmission means the clean combustion from the treated fuel goes further per gallon than it would even on a clean engine running underinflated tires. Every single improvement you make stacks on top of every other one. The next step adds another layer to that stack for under $10. Number 2. Add a clean air filter to multiply the treatment results. A new air filter for most common vehicles costs between $12 and $25 and installs in under 10 minutes without tools on most engine layouts. Unlike the two-stroke oil treatment, which works progressively over multiple treatment cycles, a new air filter delivers its full fuel economy contribution immediately on the first drive after installation. Beyond the direct fuel economy benefit, a fresh air filter also protects your newly cleaned mass airflow sensor from recontamination. An old filter that has lost its ability to trap fine particles allows those particles to reach the sensor element and rebuild the contamination layer you just removed. Installing a new filter and a clean sensor together ensures both remain in their optimal condition for as long as the new filter remains serviceable. The combination of a clean air filter, correct tire pressure, clean mass airflow sensor, fresh fuel filter, and the two-stroke oil treatment working through your fuel system creates a compounding effect across every variable that influences how efficiently your engine converts fuel into forward motion. No single one of these steps alone produces the dramatic improvement you see when all of them are working together simultaneously. That compound effect is what produces the results that seem impossible to anyone who has only ever tried one thing at a time. The stage is completely set. Now here's the complete protocol in action and the exact numbers it produced on a real vehicle driven on real roads. Number 1. The complete Japanese two-stroke oil protocol and what it did to my MPG. My vehicle was a 2014 sedan with a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine that had accumulated 94,000 miles of predominantly city driving before I ran this protocol. The manufacturer-rated highway fuel economy was 28 miles per gallon. My measured baseline using the manual fill-up method over 2 consecutive measurement tanks was 19.3 miles per gallon. That gap between rated and actual, nearly 9 miles per gallon, was consistent across both measurement tanks and reflected the degree of combustion system deposit buildup from 94,000 miles of short-trip city use with no prior chemical treatment of any kind. I executed every preparation step in sequence over the 2 weeks before the first treatment tank. Mass airflow sensor cleaned with dedicated cleaner and allowed to fully dry before reinstallation. Fuel filter replaced with a new manufacturer equivalent unit. New air filter installed. Tire pressure set to the door placard specification on all 4 tires after checking cold on 3 consecutive mornings to confirm consistency. Baseline fuel economy confirmed across 2 measurement tanks using the manual fill-up method, averaging 19.3 miles per gallon. First treatment tank. 15 ounces of mineral-based two-stroke oil added to a tank at 1/4 full before pumping fuel to ensure thorough mixing. 35-minute highway drive at 68 miles per hour within the first 40 miles of the treatment tank as the high concentration, high temperature cleaning window. Normal mixed driving for the remaining tank miles. Manual fill-up measurement result, 22.1 miles per gallon. Improvement of 2.8 miles per gallon over baseline. 14.5% improvement in the first treatment cycle. Second treatment tank, same ratio, same application method, same highway segment within the first 50 miles. Normal mixed driving for the remainder. Manual fill-up measurement result, 25.4 miles per gallon. Cumulative improvement of 6.1 miles per gallon over the pre-treatment baseline. The compounding effect of the second cleaning cycle working on the deposit layer exposed by the first cycle was clearly visible in the numbers. Third treatment tank, 27.8 miles per gallon. Fourth tank, 29.1 miles per gallon. The improvement continued building consistently through the fourth tank before beginning to stabilize as the accessible deposit layers were progressively removed and the combustion surfaces approached their clean operating condition. Fifth tank and beyond. Stabilized between 29 and 31 miles per gallon across subsequent tanks depending on driving mix. My city-heavy daily driving routine was consistently delivering 30 miles per gallon on a vehicle that the manufacturer rated at 28 miles per gallon for pure highway driving, with a pre-treatment real-world baseline of 19.3 miles per gallon across the same city-dominated driving pattern. The total improvement from baseline to stabilized result was 10.7 miles per gallon, representing a 55% improvement over pre-treatment actual performance. The treatment continues at every fill-up as standard practice. The $3 cost per tank against the fuel savings it delivers represents a return on investment that no conventional fuel economy product sold at 10 times the price has ever matched in direct comparison testing. The mechanic who laughed when I told him what I was planning called me 3 weeks later asking for the specific product name and the exact ratio. He had watched the fuel economy numbers climb on my vehicle and decided to test it on his own daily driver. He recorded a 38% improvement over his pre-treatment baseline across 5 treatment tanks. He has since recommended the protocol to customers in his shop across a range of vehicle types, mileage levels, and driving patterns. The results are not identical across every vehicle because no 2 engines carry the same deposit history, but the direction of the results is consistent. Every properly prepared engine running this protocol in the correct ratio shows measurable improvement. The oil companies knew this worked because their own chemists tested it. The information existed in technical literature that never reached the average driver because the financial incentive to suppress it was larger than any obligation to share it. That information gap is smaller today than it was yesterday. Share this video with anyone you know who was paying too much at the pump for too few miles in return. Hey, thanks for watching. If this protocol changed how you think about fuel economy and what is actually possible from your existing engine, let us know in the comments below. Want to see more suppressed Japanese automotive techniques that save real money on a real car? Click on the left, and if you do not want to miss more money-saving car secrets that the industry never advertised, hit that subscribe button right now.